Good morning, Team Alabama. Here is Don't You Dare Read This, Mrs. Dunfree, and we are ready for page 53, and that is December the 8th. December the 8th. Go ahead and find that on your Chromebook now. You're going to read along with me, and make sure you have your open tab on your Google Doc and you're adding your facts also, and your questions and your vocab. A reminder that they need to be complete sentences. And on one of my announcements, I highlighted Crystal Klein's example of how those needed to look. So those were the weekly announcements for last week, I believe. Page 53. Don't You Dare Read This, Mrs. Dunfree, December the 8th. Remember, text structure-wise, she organizes it in chronological or sequential order, kind of like a diary. So don't read this, Mrs. Dunfree. I'm going to do Christmas shopping tonight after school. I'm probably going to get perfume or earrings for Sandy and Rochelle and Chastity, and a robe for Mom, and a Game Boy for Matt since he already has a Nintendo now. I'm not getting anything for Dad. He wasn't home last night or the night before, but I couldn't get up the nerve to ask Mom where he was. She had to work double shifts at Haggerty's because I guess some of the other cashiers are sick. So yesterday and last night, it was like it was just Matt and me living together. I didn't have to work at the Burger Boy even. Last night we sat at the kitchen table and we did homework together. And anyone who knows me would have laughed. Tish Bonner actually doing homework? But it was kind of cozy. Him working on addition, me working on geometry. Matt finished first. 8-year-olds never have much homework. And then he sat there drawing while he waited on me to get done. Matt's in LD classes, and sometimes I'm afraid he really is dumb. But he can draw better than anyone, I know. Okay, so LD just means learning disabled. It doesn't mean that he's dumb in any way. It just means that you learn differently. And sometimes you need things repeated a couple of times, but it has nothing to do with intelligence. You're totally intelligent, and Matt is too. He just needs things presented in a different way. So she goes on to say, but he can draw better than anyone, and I know. Maybe I should get him some sort of art set instead of a Game Boy. I'll have to think about it. I made cocoa, and we put like 10,000 marshmallows in it, and there was no one to yell at us. All that reminds me of how when I was about Matt's age, and Matt was a cute little baby, I used to dream about Mom and Dad leaving, and it was just Matt and me and Grandma. And I used to think that if I did everything right and didn't step on any cracks walking home from school, and remembered to put the forks the right way when I set the table, and didn't talk back when Dad spanked me, if I did all those things, maybe I'd wake up some morning and it'd be like Mom and Dad never existed, and we were just Grandma's kids. Except Grandma would have yelled at us about eating too many marshmallows. December the 10th, page 55. Don't read this, Mrs. Dunfree. Still haven't seen Dad all week. Mom stayed in bed the last few days. She says she's sick. Says she's got the flu everyone else had, but I don't know. I hear her crying in there. It scares Matt. Tony broke up with Sandy when he heard how she'd been all over Randy Seaver at the party Saturday night. And then Sandy called Randy Seaver, and he was like, who? Like he'd never heard of her in his life. Of course, Sandy didn't admit it, and Rochelle told me because Rochelle was right there when Sandy called him. Sandy went to the mall and shoplifted a necklace and a pair of $35 earrings to make herself feel better. She was real obvious about it, too. It's a wonder she didn't get caught. Okay, let's add some facts there. Which one of her friends shoplifts? And why do you think Mom's in bed? Why don't you write that as a fact? Mom is what? Mom is staying in bed. Mom is depressed. Mom can't cope with Dad being gone. Mom thinks she needs Dad. I'm not sure. Why don't you put what you think right there and put a couple facts down for that? I knew real-life romances never worked out. I remember the stories that Grandma used to tell about her and Grandpa. He was in the Navy, and he had to be away sometimes for 6 or 8 months at a time, but he wrote her every single day while he was on board ship. And even though he could have ended up being someone really important in the Navy, do they have generals? He decided to quit then because he couldn't stand being away from Grandma. And when he got home, he worked 2 jobs for a while so they could save enough to buy a house. It's the house